Ms. Hawthorne, can you call the roll?
I'm sorry, I was calling it. I was on mute. Mr. Graves?
Present.
Ms. Seligson?
Present.
Ms. Lawson?
Present.
Ms. Curry?
Here.
Ms. Strasbach?
Here.
Mr. Belmont?
Here.
Ms. Scott?
Here.
Ms. Hodge?
Here.
Ms. Glasser?
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United
States
States
of
of
America,
America,
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty.
with liberty and justice for all.
Before we move to a moment of silence, I have a brief statement. Woodland Hills School Board and the Woodland Hills School District have watched in horror the video recording of the death of George Floyd and far too many others, including our own Antoine Rose II, at the hands of police. We are deeply troubled by these events and moved by the calls for justice and reform, which we echo and share. We call on our communities to ensure they implement policing policies that protect human life above all, and to train their officers in techniques that calm rather than endanger. We will reevaluate our relationship with local law enforcement and our approach to school security to ensure that our schools are safe places to learn and grow. We will continue the work of making education more equitable as well. Black Lives Matter, and we will redouble our efforts to invest in the students we serve with hope, a sense of social justice, and the desire to make our communities better. We'll now have a moment of silence. We had several losses in the Woodland Hills family this month. Our condolences go to Ms. Charmaine Gaither, assistant principal at the intermediate school, on the passing of her father, Mr. Charles Potter. And our condolences to the family of Desmond Scott, former Woodland Hills student, who passed away on Wednesday, June 3rd, 2020. Thank you. Next week, we'll accept the minutes for the May agenda and legislative meetings. Are there any additions, corrections, or questions about the minutes at this time? Okay, hearing none. I'll report that the board met in executive session immediately prior to this meeting to discuss legal, school safety, and personnel matters as permitted by law. Mr. Harris, you have announcements.
Yes. I would just like to thank everyone who participated in the high school graduation ceremony. It was a long day for everyone, but it was very well received by the families and the students who got to participate. We started around 9:30 a.m. and we ended around 10 p.m. It's great for who were involved. They volunteered their time, and the families really seemed to enjoy it. I'd like to thank particularly Dr. Woods, who stood in one spot for about 10 hours, and all the assistant principals and security and families and those who arrived in school buses, vans, limousines. It was really a great time to be a Wolverine. I'd like to thank the board members who all volunteered also, who stood on one side of the stage while I stood on the other with our masks on, greeting all the students and all the students who gave particularly fantastic speeches. And a couple days before, we had the award ceremony, academic and athletic. Once again, it was really a proud moment that everyone came together during this time to celebrate a very difficult school year. Thank you.
I will echo that, Mr. Harris. I thought graduation was a great success. I commend Dr. Woods and all the staff who worked so hard to make that happen. And honestly, throughout the closure, our staff was outstanding, did great work, and in very challenging situations. I believe we had as successful as it could have been in difficult circumstances in reaching as many students as we could. So thank you all for that, and congratulations on a great day last Friday. Any other announcements? Okay. Hearing none, we will not have student speakers this evening, but I believe we do have Mr. Gigliotti to present on the budget.
Okay, will I be able to load this, Eddie, or do you want to just fire it up and?
Yep, I don't believe you will, sir. I'll present and you just let me know when you want to switch slides.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right, I believe everyone can see the slides
Yeah,
now.
I see it. Yeah, you can go to next page. Okay. For those who weren't here last night, these are some of the budget to budget, the 1920 budget to the projected 2021 budget, expenditure changes. Wages are increasing $872,000. That includes a net of 2 FTE positions. The health, dental, fringes are a decrease of $40,000. The FICA retirement, they tie right to the wages. It's an increase of $431,000. Supplies, books, utilities, we have a decrease of $165,000. Special ed services are going up $559,000. Transportation services, a reduction of $149,000. Charter school tuition down $899,000. Unemployment comps down $450,000, and equipment replacement is an increase of $55,000. Next slide. Some of the budget reductions that we were able to take right off the top was unemployment comp of $450,000 because we had some layoffs last year. They didn't occur. That's what we budgeted for. We were not anticipating many this year, so this was removed from the budget. Moving expenses, there are no more moving. Once we move into Dixon, there'll be no more moving plans, so we can save those funds. Athletic supplies related to the purchase of the equipment for a middle school football team, and the budgetary reserve has been removed from the budget. Next slide, please. Some of the budget adds, band uniforms, they're to the point that they need to be replaced. A band trailer that is, I think, a 96 model. Peaceful bus has been increased, 75,000. Substitute teachers, 177,000. Maintenance and supplies and equipment, 141. Even though there was a decrease in total supplies, the maintenance had an increase of 41,000, and security services of 188,000. And then these are the positions: a social studies teacher at the middle school, 0.5 consumer science teacher, and a 0.5 music teacher at the high school. Next, please. These are the reductions from last week's Finance Committee presentation that we went over last night. We had additional wage decreases from everything up above. These are in addition to wages decreased to $700,000, fringes decreased $304,000. We decreased substitute teachers an additional $256,000, and contracted services reduced $106,000. Activity runs eliminated $90,000. Peaceful bus, we went back and reduced to $33,000, and custodian maintenance is a decrease of $45,000. The next slide, please. Now, as of tonight, we proposed these cuts from last night: an additional $124,000 in wages and positions, and an additional $105,000 in associated fringes. The Churchill SRO and some additional contracted security. Next slide, please. Now, we've had some revenue decreases because of COVID that we've had to take into consideration with the shortened year and the unknown factor of the economy. The real estate tax collection, the collection percentage was reduced 1%, which is a $526,000 reduction in revenue. The real estate transfer tax, not knowing what's going to happen, and based on where we were ending up the year, there's a $100,000 reduction in next year's budget. Delinquent collections, real estate and earned income tax, we experienced a slight decrease in those for next year. Interest income, we're taking a big hit. We had interest rates around 2% this year. They're down to 0.1 and 0.2%. So we took a large hit there. Anticipating a decrease in earned income tax. It's going to be hard to gauge. We haven't seen anything since January, so it's very difficult to gauge where we're going to be exactly. Best guess estimate. Access funding, because we weren't in school all year and services weren't provided all year, so we filed a cost report for this year that we get next year. We will take a hit. And library revenue based on library estimates I received from the library director. Next slide. Some increases did occur into the budget. We are still trying to, ease into our debt, and we have capitalized interest that is going to increase over last year. We had some capitalized interest last year that we brought in from the capital fund itself to offset debt service. We're going to have an additional $682,000 brought over from the capital project fund to help level the debt service. And our Social Security and retirement increase is at $308,000 because of the $870,000 increase in salaries. This is a related increase in Social Security retirement. Next slide. Now, if based on the shortened year that we had, and with the incorporation of all the mentioned cuts, even the new cuts that we proposed to the board tonight of, I think it was about $369,000, our
I'm muted. What's up?
audited fund balance
I'm not muted.
at June 30th, 2019, which was the beginning of this year, was $5,083,000. We dipped into the fund balance for the 19-20 year. So at June 30th, we're projecting a fund balance of June 30th, 20 at the end of this month, $4,565,000. Our 2021 budget sits at a deficit of $4,147,000. The expenditures do exceed the revenues by $4,147,000. Utilizing the fund balance of $4,565,000, we are projecting a fund balance of June 30 of $418,000. So we can balance the budget with the cuts that are on the table right now for the board to consider. The next slide, please. And this, that previous slide did include a millage increase to the index. These are basically the same numbers. The audited financial fund balance at June of 19, the projected fund balance at the end of this month, going into next year. However, there is no millage increase projected in this scenario, which results in a budget deficit, expenditures exceeding revenues for the 2021 year to the tune of $5,762,000. When you apply the projected fund balance, we still would have a deficit of $1,197,000 in our budget. So the millage increase, no millage increase would have this effect on the budget. If we can go to the next slide, please. Now, what this slide represents is the CARES Act that the federal government passed, and the share of funds that we will be receiving, they're termed ESSER, E-S-S-E-R, no millage increase, but using a portion of the ESSER money, we're going to receive $1,579,000, which we will share $79,000 with the non-public schools in the district, and that'll leave $1.5 million. Using $1.3 million of that $1.5 million of the ESSER funds and applying it as revenue, the audited fund balance and the projected fund balance remain the same. The 2020-2021 budget deficit comes back down to $4,462,000. When you apply the projected fund balance to that, the projected fund balance at the June 30, 21, the end of next year, would be $103,000. So this is another scenario where you would have a balanced budget scenario for the 2021 school year. So there's two scenarios on here, one using a millage increase, the next one not using a millage increase, but utilizing the ESSER funds. We have two scenarios that would give you a balanced budget for the year. And then the one scenario, no millage increase and not utilizing the ESSER money to balance the budget, you would have a deficit. So that concludes my presentation. This is the effect of millage increases to the index on assessed value houses. Our median value of the homestead properties is $87,100. So if your house was assessed at that, you would pay an additional $77.32 in taxes. If you had a $100,000 assessed value house, you'd be paying $88.77, and so forth, up and down the scale. The last slide is a fund balance slide, which you can see the history of our fund balance. We were in 14-15, we had a negative. Our revenues barely exceeded our expenditures. In 15-16, they equaled. In 16-17, revenues exceeded expenditures, but since with 17-18 and forward, our expenditures have outpaced our revenues. And as you can see, the bottom line, the bottom light green line, that's our fund balance that is heading to below zero. So that concludes my presentation.
Okay, are there questions from board members at this time? This is not for public comment, but if there are questions from board members, we can entertain those. Okay. Not hearing any at this stage. We may have more conversation when we get down to the budget in the agenda as well. So we will move on. Last call. Okay, hearing none. All right, so that moves us to registered speakers. I don't see any. Is that correct, Ms. Hawthorne?
That's correct, Ms. Glasser.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Harris, that moves us to board matters.
Okay.
Here we go. All right, board matters 2.1. Second reading of revised policy 249, bullying, cyberbullying. Are there any questions? Okay. 2.2. We seek approval to renew the board's 2020-2021 membership in the PSBA at a cost of $16,013.77 from General Fund 10. Any questions?
Okay, 2.3. We seek approval of the contract of Dr. Kate Greneman-Kalushkio for management services at the Carnegie Free Library of Smithsdale effective July 1, 2020 at a cost of $37,500 from the General Fund 10. Are there any questions?
acknowledgement. She does a great job and is much appreciated, but I'd also am thankful for her understanding of our situation. So thank you, Dr. Colucci, for that.
Thank you. Okay, board matters 2.4. We seek approval of the revised 2020 committee meeting dates for July through December. Any questions?
I just want to acknowledge the motivation for this, as it was presented to me. The administration believes this will give more opportunity to present agenda items at the forthcoming meetings. Having the week off between the legislative meeting and committee meetings, rather than between committees and the agenda meeting, will allow a little more decompression and time for consideration of what we need to be talking about the following month in each department. So, Mr. Harris, is that the correct summary of the motivation?
Yes, it just puts the committee meetings before, so there's more conversations prior. We can introduce things at the committee meetings instead of waiting until after the fact.
Okay. So, thank you.
Okay, 2.5, we seek permission to accept the 2020-2021 Woodland Hills School District Code of Conduct. Any questions?
What are the, can you highlight any changes, Jim, for the public?
The one big change that's in there is, well, there's some cleanup of language, and there's one area that discusses incidental contact between students and employees and intentional contact. The prior code of conduct didn't distinguish, so this one does. And there's just also some clarity on the roles of the chain of command within the buildings with the principal. And all the changes, just like in the policies, are highlighted.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Curriculum 3.1. We seek approval of the Woodland Hills School District Pre-K Counts Child Care Collaboration Agreement with the Heritage Community Initiatives. Any questions? Okay. 3.2, we seek approval to award a one-year $5,000 stipend to Renee Englert for the additional facilitation of the 2020-2021 Pre-K Counts Continuation Grant. Are there any questions? Basically, I can answer this. Basically, there is a administrative duty within that grant, and this fee, which is renewed year to year, pays Renee to help manage the Pre-K Counts. Okay, people personnel 5.1. We seek approval to accept the 2020-2021 Waterfront Learning Services for the K-12 online educational services. Are there any questions? Okay, we move down to personnel. Personnel 6.1. Section B, authorization for retirement resignation. Section F, authorization for EDR mentor actions. Section G, authorization for miscellaneous. Are there any questions? Okay. 6.2, personnel. Permission to approve Dr. Christina Pert as principal of Dixon Preparatory STEAM Academy at a salary of $110,000 effective June 15th, 2020. This, we're requesting to have it voted upon this evening.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Strasbach. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Second by Ms. Scott. Any questions or discussion from board members on the hiring of Dr. Pert? Okay. Hearing none, Ms. Hawthorne, will you call the vote?
Yes. Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Ms. Seligson?
Yes.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Ms. Hodge? Yes. Ms. Strasbach?
Yes.
Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Ms. Glasser?
Yes. I believe Dr. Pert is on the call, so I will extend our congratulations and thanks for your interest in the position. We look forward to having you join us next week.
Dr. Perk, would you like to speak? I know you're on the call or on the Zoom. You have to unmute. You're muted. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. I just want to tell everybody thank you for having faith in me and giving me the opportunity to serve as principal of Dixon STEAM Academy. It is truly an honor. I promise to be committed with a sense of urgency and will work with all stakeholders to give students the best educational experience they deserve and equip them with the tools and skills they need to thrive at the next level. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. 6.3, seek approval of the Act 93 agreement. Are there any questions? Okay. Technology. Here we go. 7.1, we seek approval to renew our Harris ProSoft maintenance contract financial for the 2020-2021 school year at a contract amount of $30,613. I'm sorry. The heck is this? $30,613 and there's a typo in here. Steve, I need to know if this is three. Okay. Steve, if you're out there, I have a question about this amount. I know there's a typo here. I don't want to read the wrong amount.
James, it's Mike.
It's 10,613 and 10 cents.
Okay, so the 2 is a typo. Well, it's probably typed in there. Okay, so $30,613.10. Okay, so we seek approval to renew our Harris ProSoft maintenance contract financial for the 2020-21 school year at a contract amount of $30,613.10. We'll correct the typo. Okay, 7.2. We seek approval to upgrade our Harris ProSoft servers operating system financial for the 2020-21 school year at a contract amount of $3,600 from General Fund 10. Are there any questions? 7.3. We seek approval to renew our PowerSoft maintenance contract, SIS, for the 2019-2020 school year at a contract amount of $57,544.36 from General Fund 10. Are there any questions? Okay, 7.4. 7.4, we seek approval to renew our agreement with Follett, our school library collection system for the 2020-2021 school year at a contract amount of $4,775 from General Fund 10. Are there any questions? 7.5, we seek approval to renew our agreement with Schoology for the district's gradebook system for the 2020-2021 school year at a cost of $19,260 from General Fund 10. Are there any questions? 7.6, we seek approval to renew School Point website contract for the 2020-2021 school year at an amount of $7,000 from General Fund 10. This company hosts our Woodland Hills website pages. Any questions? 7.7, we seek approval to renew our agreement with Intrado Safe Mail for the 2020-2021 school year at the amount of $7,519.50 from General Fund 10. This company monitors and filters our students' emails. Any questions? 7.8, we seek approval to renew our support with Apple Education for mobile device management for the 2020-2021 school year at a contracted amount of $4,000 from General Fund 10. Are there any questions? 7.9, we seek approval to renew our contract with Curriculum Associates, iReady, for the 2020-2021 school year at an amount of $62,281.44 from General Fund 10. Are there any questions? 7.10, we seek approval to a block of prepaid network support hours. This includes remote support and on-site support, diagnostic and programming services at a contracted amount of $4,000 from General Fund 10. Are there any questions? Technology 7.11, we seek approval for telecommunication support services from Presidio Networking Solutions at a cost of $9,200 from General Fund 10. Are there any questions? Okay. 7.12, we seek approval for data center remote services, support services from Condorus Technologies at a cost of $6,000 from General Fund 10. Are there any questions? Technology 7.3, we seek approval to enter into a one-year subscription with ClassLink for the 2020-2021 school year at an amount of $12,735.60 from General Fund 10. Are there any questions? 7.14, we seek approval to enter into a one-year subscription with Map Growth Basics for the 2020-2021 school year at a contract amount of $31,667.50 from General Fund 10. Are there any questions? 7.15, we seek approval for the purchase and installation of 26 additional cameras at Dixon School from FNA Solutions at a cost of $12,054 from Capital Project Fund 39. These funds are currently budgeted under soft costs. Are there any questions? 7.16, we seek approval to reject all bids received for yearbook services. Are there any questions? 7.17, we seek approval to extend our current yearbook agreement with Jostens for the 2020-2021 school year. Are there any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Harris, can you expound on what the issue was with the bids that came in? Were there bids that came in under the RFP, and if so, why is the recommendation to reject them all?
Okay, Steve, can you comment on that, please? I know there were bids that came in, and I believe they were too high. Steve, can you comment on that?
Yes, with the COVID, we didn't really receive very many bids. In fact, we only received one, and the quoted price was higher than what we were currently paying with Jostens. So we were advised to just reject them all and then negotiate with Jostens to see if they would extend us one extra year. We will then again next spring do another RFP and hopefully get some other bids.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Safety and security, 8.1. We seek permission to advertise for metal detectors. These metal detectors will be placed at the Dixon Preparatory School and at the high school. Are there any questions?
This will be an RFP, correct?
Yes, this is a request for an RFP to advertise. The RFP is attached. The metal detectors are paid by through a grant. Are there any questions? Oh, I guess that was the question. Okay, number 10, buildings and grounds. 10.1, we seek approval of the Reynolds Consulting Engineers AIA agreement for engineering services related to the Swissvale Library project from Capital Project Fund 39. Are there any questions?
Are we going to have a chance to review the agreement before the meeting next week?
Yes.
When it's voted? Okay.
Yes.
It's not currently attached, so I would appreciate that.
10.2, we seek approval of change order number 1 from Canfield Development, Inc. for $7,392. Any questions? Okay, 10.3, we seek approval to award Allegheny Supply the Dixon Preparatory STEAM Academy new equipment and supplies for the new building startup. Cost is $21,371.97. It's a CoStar number 005-073 Fund 10. Are there any questions? This is for equipment. Okay, 10.4, Buildings and Grounds. We seek approval to award Everas Corporation to resurface all whiteboards in the high school library at the cost of $7,308 from Funds 10. Are there any questions? Okay, Buildings and Grounds, 10.5. We seek approval to proceed with the RFP for the Wolverine Stadium repairs. Are there any questions? Okay, 10.6, we seek approval to accept the proposal from Sports Floor Inc. to clean, abrade, and recoat our main high school gymnasium and an auxiliary gymnasium. Any questions?
This is standard maintenance, or is this?
Yes, it's our preventive maintenance that we do once a year before school starts.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Bob. 10.7, we seek approval to schedule a tour of Wilkins STEAM Academy for Wilkins Township Number 1 Fire Department. Any questions? Maybe Bob, if you want to talk a little bit about this. This is a little bit new.
Sure. So Wilkins Township Fire Department reached out to me. They would like to do a tour of our Wilkins building since they would be first on call, first responder to the Wilkins if something would ever happen. So we're going to walk around. We're going to pick a date sometime in July to walk around, look at sprinklers, also connections, go to the boiler room, check the boiler room out, stuff of that nature. So they have a layout of the building. And we're going to do it sometime again in July at 5 o'clock when nobody's in the building.
I think that's a great idea, Mr. Finney. I would actually encourage us to reach out to other fire departments that would serve our other buildings and make sure they have the information that they need in case a response is necessary.
I'm working something out right now with Swissvale for the Dixon, our new Dixon building. And so I'll reach out to the other ones eventually as well.
Super. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. 10.8, we seek approval to allow 412 Food Rescue to do a drive-up food distribution at the intermediate school for our community. Are there any questions?
I want to mention that Ms. Scott was helpful in bringing this to us and thank her for that. I don't know if there's anything to add, but appreciate the opportunity to be of service.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
I have a question. Before we move on, I would just like to know if we're okay with them putting our Woodland Hills logo on the bags and stuff of that nature when they hand it out.
We can discuss that.
Yeah.
We'll discuss it later.
Okay.
Okay. 10.9, we seek permission to approve PEMCO educational and contract furniture proposal for additional file cabinets for the music department and additional pedestal desks for teachers. Cost $17,359.36, paid from Capital Project 39. Are there any questions? .10, we seek approval to authorize the relocation of the underground electric feed for the new gymnasium addition due to administrative addition at the high school, not to exceed $85,000 from Capital Project Fund 39. Mike G., do you want to elaborate a little bit on this to explain to the public what's going on? Mike Gigliotti? I can explain it.
Someone muted my screen. I'm on.
Okay. Go ahead.
We have an addition going in at the high school for new administrative offices. in the courtyard between the current entrance and the gymnasium addition. There's a electric power line that runs diagonally across the courtyard underground that did not appear on any blueprints anywhere. No one knew about it, and it was, I guess, installed when they put the gymnasium addition. It provides power to that wing. It's in the way and needs to be relocated. So this is the estimated price that we have, not to exceed $85,000 to have that relocated another route that won't interfere with the construction project.
Okay. All right, 10.11. We seek approval to allow Animal Inc. to film a small commercial, 10 to 15 people, for the Charlie Batch Foundation at the Wolverine Stadium. Bob Finney, do you want to explain this a little bit to the public?
Sure. The group reached out to me earlier this morning about possibly visiting the Wolverine Stadium, which we met them at the Wolverine Stadium. They would like to use our stadium again to do this commercial with Charlie Batch. They will follow the CDC guidelines. They've already turned in their insurance information. Also, I also have the information, the CDC guideline information that they will be following. They will be wearing a mask as well. And they also said they could offer us $1,500 for our time and the usage of our film.
Okay. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
What's the timeline on that, Mr. Finney?
I'm sorry. It will be next Monday. Possible. They haven't given me the exact time. Roughly around 9 o'clock, about 4 to 5 hours. They said.
Okay. Understanding that to be the case, then is it the will of the board that we act on this evening, or do we want to consider it as a ratification next week after the fact?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Moved by Mr. Graves.
Second.
Second by Ms. Strasbach, I believe. Any questions or discussion? Okay. Hearing none, Ms. Hawthorne, will you call the roll?
Yes. Ms. Seligson?
Yes.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson? Ms. Lawson? Ms. Curry?
Yes.
Ms. Hodge?
Yes.
Ms. Strasbach?
Yes.
Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson? Ms. Glasser?
Yes. Motion carries 8-0 with one absent at the time of the vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, finance. 13.1, we seek ratification of the bill list for invoices paid after the May 20, 2020 legislative meeting. Any questions? 13.2, we seek approval of the June 2020 bill list. Are there any questions? 13.3, we seek the acceptance of the May 2020 fund reports and student activity reports for informational purposes. Any questions? 13.4, we seek approval of the investment reports for May 2020. Are there any questions? 13.5, we seek approval of the budgetary transfers for June 2020. Are there any questions? 13.6, we seek approval of the Homestead Farmstead Resolution number 550.20. Are there any questions? 13.7, we seek approval of the 2020 final general fund budget resolutions. Blank 2020 and blank 20. Are there any questions?
I do have a couple of questions related to the budget. First, Mr. Gigliotti, you detailed the proposed cuts moments ago, but could we talk about, you mentioned there are some wages that are part of those cuts. Can you talk about, I know we can't talk about specific positions necessarily, but can you talk about where those break down in terms of our different employee groups and how those are slated to be at this point? Professional versus staff versus Act 93.
Yes. Right now, built in, and based on what has been presented, there are, under administration, the elimination of 5 full-time equivalent positions. Under the professional staff, there are 4 full-time equivalent positions. And under the support staff, let me clarify, the professional staff would be the WIA staff covered by that contract, and the support staff would be the WHESPA contract support. There are 3 full-time equivalents for a total of 12 full-time positions currently being considered for elimination.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion on the budget at the moment?
Will we be discussing any further the options? How is this going to roll up for next week? Because we have several choices to make here.
We do indeed. We can discuss those now. We have a number of options in terms of how to discuss them as well, and I defer to the board on this. There's obviously a forum right now. If you wish to make comments or discuss the options presented, we can do that. We can discuss them next week at the legislative meeting as well. We also have the option of scheduling additional workshops if we want to take some time and do that. I'll also just remind the board that while we are under a time deadline, we are not required to vote on this next week. If we are not comfortable with the options presented to us as yet and need to do some more work on this, we do have until the end of the month to do that. So I'm not saying that's the case. Certainly, if we're comfortable next week, we can do it then, but we need to get to a place where we feel that we have investigated all the options as thoroughly as we can. So Ms. Ellison, I defer to you. If you wish to discuss something now, feel free. Other board members as well.
We had a lot of information. So maybe, this is a lot, but maybe it would be useful if we had another worksheet that was open for the public, just to etch some of our options out. Right now, my brain's just kind of stuffed at the moment, so.
We can certainly do that if other members are amenable. I'm certainly game to do that next week.
Ms. Blaster,
Yes, Mr. Graves.
is there any way we can at least get the PowerPoint presentation so we can at least review that again with the updated numbers from the other day?
Absolutely, Mr.
With all the
Gigliotti.
options?
Yeah, Mr. Gigliotti, please distribute that to the board by email, but also let's post that to the website as quickly as we can do following the meeting this evening.
Because I agree with Ms. Ellis. I would like to look at it with fresh eyes after our conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Understood. So I would be happy to do that. We can look at tomorrow. We can find a day, preferably Monday or Tuesday, I guess, next week. But we have to advertise, so it cannot be this week. But we can find a time. We can pick an evening next week and do that in advance of the board meeting on Wednesday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. Does anyone have an objection to that? Let's just ask it that way. Okay.
I don't have an objection. I do have additional comment.
Yes, please, Mr. Oswald.
I just think it's worth telling the public that the board is really conflicted about this, and internally we don't agree on what we think is the right course of action, and we understand that we recognize rather that this is all annually. This is a tough call, and given the economic turmoil that we're currently seeing, it's an even tougher call for us to make. So I just don't think any of us are really completely decided yet.
Yeah, I agree. I think we still have, we're still asking administration for options and opportunities that may be in front of us, given a lot of unknowns that we're facing still with funding, as you all heard, and with the current economic situation. So certainly, I think this is the biggest decision we make every year, and we have to give it due diligence. So I appreciate the time everyone has put in thus far, and recognizing that there will likely be more. We will suss it out as we go, figure out how we can do it. So, okay. Who else has comments on this issue? Again, board members, this is not a public comment session as yet.
Ms. Glasser, can I ask Mike G a question?
Yes, Mr. Beaumont, please.
Hey, Mike.
Yes.
As you look at current trends of our finances, expenditures, and revenues, do you see us not having to make some tax increase each year from here on out?
I don't know how you can avoid a tax increase anymore, Mike. We're basically used up as far as all our fund balance is concerned. We have the CESA's money. You can use that to help, but that's very short term. That's all one-time money, and when that's gone, you're going to be relying on whatever money you can bring in, as a revenue source, because you won't have a fund balance anymore. So I really can't see moving forward, without a large influx of cash and funds from the state. You are facing short-term, long-term millage increases.
And there are proposed cuts, and those are one-time decisions, and then you reach a point where you can't do that. So we've gotten closer to that in the last 2 years. Mike, I have another question for you. Could you explain to the public what we have to do as a school district to contribute to reduce the pension deficit for the Peasers pension deficit, because we are absorbing another increase with that?
Yeah, the Peasers contribution is going up again. We're currently paying 34.29% of wages as our contribution, our employer contribution to Peasers. The state will reimburse us for about 55% of that, and we make up the rest from local dollars. We get a subsidy for that. It's going from 34.29 to 34.51 next year. So I think that's a 0.22 increase, almost a 0.25%. But that's a 0.25% on $30 million basically worth of wages. And it's still projected to increase slightly over the next several years. I haven't seen the leveling off or reduction come into the picture yet.
And Mike, we are in the state had planned an incremental increase year after year after year to help decrease that deficit. If my memory serves right, we are in the 5th year of that increase. Is that correct?
I'd have to check. I don't have that sheet of paper in front of me. If you hold on, shouldn't take me long to get there.
That point being that we've had to have made increased contributions, and that's a hidden cost a lot of people aren't aware of. And we've been increasing our contribution to Peasers for about 10 or 15 years now, actually. And it used to be 2% increases, and then it went down to 1% increases. In the last couple years, we've been in the 0.25% to 0.5% increases. So the increases have slowed, but you're talking 34% of what we pay in wages is what we pay out for retirement into the Peaser system. And give the public an idea of what we pay in wages in a round number.
About $30 million.
So
our contribution. Hold on, I don't have that open. I don't have what our contribution is, but I think it's. I don't even venture a guess right now because I can come back in a little bit. I can come back in a little bit and provide that to you. Let me open up.
That's okay, Mike. People can do the math. We have to take the percentage you quoted earlier of that $30 million, and that's what the contribution is.
Yeah, $10,353,000 for next year. All right, Mike.
So, and that's 10% of our budget, Mike, correct? Roughly?
Yes.
Right off the top.
Yes, it is.
Mr. Gigliotti, I also want to make clear, because I know that there was some speculation. This even with the cuts that you have proposed this evening, there is nothing that is eliminating art, music, library. None of those things are being cut from any portion of the district. Is that correct?
No, those areas are still intact.
Okay. Mr. Harris, is there anything that we need to add on that front? Our curriculum remains.
There are no cuts to, like I said, programming. Like you just said, we're not eliminating sports or athletics, clubs, music, theater. We're not eliminating art classes, science classes. We're not eliminating any of those things.
Okay.
Nurses, no, we still have nurses, one in each building. So those areas are untouched.
Okay. Thank you. Just wanted to clarify that as well. So again, 4 professional positions, 5 at admin, and 3 in the ESP group. Is that correct?
It also entails a pay freeze for the administrative team also.
Okay. All right.
For support, just administrative.
Act 93, the Act 93 group.
Act 93.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Other questions?
I'd like to follow up on that point, please. The idea that there are positions being eliminated, there are voluntary wage freezes being taken. We're in the midst of a major economic problem, and we still have to consider a tax increase to try to balance the budget. And making those decisions, I hope that people understand that we understand that there are people now out of work who have taken pay cuts themselves. And we're cognizant of that, and we're trying to make the best decision that we can, considering all that. Any decision we make, we have taken all of that into consideration. Thanks, Jamie.
Okay. Other comments from board members?
There's a comment in the chat. I don't know.
That's not, yeah, we will respond to that
Okay.
at the appropriate time. That's a comment that can be made during the public comment session if Mr. Miller
Okay.
wishes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, ready to move on?
Unless there are other questions from other members.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. School Finance 13.8. We seek approval of the workers' compensation insurance with CM Region Insurance Company, PSBA. Premium amount of $369,830 for the 2020-2021 fiscal year from General Fund 10. Are there any questions? 13.9, we seek approval of the district's insurance package for the 2020-2021 fiscal year from CM Region Insurance Company, PSBA. Total package cost of $357,029 from General Fund 10. Are there any questions? 13.10, we seek approval of the volunteer coverage insurance policy for the 2020-2021 school year at a premium cost of $950 and payment from the General Fund 10. Are there any questions?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Backing up to 13.9, under relevant facts, a premium increase of $45,000 was listed. Do we have an explanation as to why that is?
One of the areas was the increase in our property value by $32 million for the increase of the construction project at Dixon.
Okay.
Okay, and that was the biggest increase in the package. The other ones we had varying percentage increases. The airs and emissions went up a little bit because of claims we've been having. Those come into play under the general liability and under the airs and emissions. So there were some claims there that affected it. But
yeah, got it.
The biggest piece was the capital renovation.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. 13. Okay, what I read. Okay, 13.10. I'll read it again. We seek approval of the volunteer coverage insurance policy for the 2020-2021 school year at a premium cost of $950. A payment from General Fund 10. Are there any questions? Okay. 13.11. We seek authorization for participation in the Forbes Road CTC 2020-2021 revenue anticipation note totaling $4,400,000. Are there any questions? Okay. 13.12. We seek permission to exonerate the tax collectors for the unpaid installment-based real estate taxes for the 2019 tax year. Are there any questions? Okay. All right. Okay. Moving down to 14, Assistant Superintendent. 14.1, we seek approval to offer summer credit recovery for the 2019-2020 school year for rising students. Are there any questions? Okay. That's all we have. We go down to reports, 18.1. We have the Swissville Library report.
Yeah, Dr. Coluccio has submitted her reopening plan for the district. I have a brief note from her that I will read in lieu of reading the entire report, because it is rather lengthy, although we will post that as well. The apologies. Yeah. With the state having gone to the with the county having gone to the green phase, Splitsville Library and the other libraries near us will reopen gradually on varying schedules, starting with curbside and lobby pickup at Swissvale. Once patrons can come to the library, computer time will be limited to 30 or 45 minutes. Social distancing and masks will be required for everyone over 2 years of age, and the number of people in the library will be limited to 15 patrons at a time. Summer reading will be virtual, so look out for that. And there will be more services following the OCL, Office of Commonwealth Libraries, Centers for Disease Control, and Department of Health guidelines. So thank you for Dr. Coluccio on the work that she's done to prepare the library for reopening, and we look forward to returning to service there as well. I'll also just say that we should keep an eye out for what other libraries will be doing as well. Any other reports at this point? I will also share that the Sunrise School continues to go through a facilities planning process. As you all know, we are a member of the jointure responsible for caring for the building that the Sunrise School occupies in Monroeville. As a part of that, we have an obligation to maintain the facility. There are some facilities issues there, including a pretty significant roof issue that may require litigation. But there's also a facility study that is currently underway to look at some key needs there. I know Mr. Harris and Ms. Zackel were out to visit the school to see those needs firsthand. I want to keep that on the radar so that we are anticipating that we'll have to have a conversation at some point about our ability to help with those needs. Any other reports?
Jamie, if I can just add something. The Reynolds agreement for the Swissvale is now attached. I had difficulty. That's why it was such a large file. I couldn't do it, but I finally got it to upload. So it is now attached for you and the public to view.
Thank you. That's very helpful. Thank you for that. Okay. Any other reports from board members? I didn't hear any previously. Okay. Hearing none, that moves us to public comment. If you have the ability, please use the raise hand function on your Zoom app to allow us to be aware that you wish to speak. I'll remind everyone that the speakers are to identify themselves and give their full name, address of residence or business, and that speeches are limited to 2 minutes. We'll be relatively strict on that. Comments are welcome and appreciated. We're glad that you are all here to participate in the meeting. So thank you for being here. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board at this time?
Ms. Glasser, I'm not seeing any hands currently.
I'm not either. Let's just give the folks a second in case I need to figure out what's going on.
Ms. Miller has raised her hand.
Okay. Ms. Miller, thank you.
Hi, everyone. I am Katie Miller. I reside at 606 Lamar Avenue, and I'm a music teacher for the district. And in regards to just the budget presentation, can we make sure that it's updated so that it's just the straight facts and not like this is what it was last week and this is how it's changed to this week? And also just for the general public, making sure that it's visible on the very front of our website. It took me a minute to even find where Mike had uploaded it onto the business website, which was within his tab, which was within another tab. And also for like things like acronyms, can we make sure that they're spelled out for the general public? So in case they want to do further research, that they have that ability to, at least Google what those acronyms mean. That way the full names are present for the public.
All of that is noted. Thank you, Ms. Miller, for being here. Appreciate it. Anyone else who wishes to address the board? Okay. I recognize that Zoom is a somewhat awkward format for this kind of comment, so I will remind everyone that the board also has email addresses individually, but also if you email board@whsd.net, you can get all of us at the same time, and we will happily accept comment in that fashion as well. In addition, thoughts, suggestions, recommendations, concerns, anything you wish to tell us, we're happy to hear. So,
Ms. Glasser, sorry, it looked like, sorry for interrupting you. It looked like, looking over the video feeds that folks have out, that there was someone who was trying to get our attention.
Yes.
Doesn't have a name, HDBFKN.
I saw Mr. Milligan's hand. I didn't see any other hands. But...
Okay.
So maybe if folks just unmute themselves.
Okay. 8dbFKN. If you want to share your thoughts.
It's a woman sitting on her couch, it looks like. There's a white upside down lamp behind you.
No? Okay. All right. No movement there. Mr. Milligan, did you have a comment?
I can just kind of comment on what I actually put the comment out about that. I apologize for that too. I wasn't really realizing that I couldn't comment in the comment section, and I had to wait for the comments. But the PCERS information that you guys are talking about, which is becoming 10% of the budget, that money was supposed to have been put into an account, and districts were supposed to be relieved on the fact that they could make interest on the money that they were supposed to put to keep PCERS. And that PCERS money was supposed to be in an account. So if the district would have put it in an account, and there are districts that did do that, they could have just been taking the money from an account, you know, but years ago they did not do that. That's the comment that I was going to say.
Thank you for that, and for adding to our understanding of the pension situation. Okay. All right, I'll give another 30 seconds in case anyone else wants to speak. Okay. Seeing no additional public comment, Mr. Harris, adjournment.
Okay, 2020.1, adjournment. We seek permission to adjourn the June 10th, 2020 agenda setting meeting.
Is there a motion?
So moved. Second. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, hearing none. Thank you all. We will schedule a budget workshop, and if not, then see you all next week as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.